it's you're gonna have to stay with me for a sec. It's going to be a weird segue into the main thing I want to talk about. I don't really like or understand a decent amount of like modern memes, I guess, if you even want to call it that. I just don't really get most of them, or don't find it like funny or something. Now, the that's not entirely important. The important thing is that I absolutely despise one of them. I despise one of them because it retroactively, I guess, tainted would be the best word. A thing, a passion project I've been working on since middle school, at the first year of middle school. I don't remember what grade, but first first year of middle school. Whatever. Where it got to a point where I even like changed the name. Granted, the old name that got tainted by a modern, I don't even want to say the word meme. I don't even feel like it deserves it. Joke, I guess. I don't really think it truly fits anymore because the idea and concept has evolved a lot more than what it originally was. It changed a lot to where I don't think the name applies. The new name that I applied for this passion project is Hell to Pay. Now, I just recently made that because the thing, but I don't really think that that really fits either, so I also have to work on that. But, so, like, 6 is considered the demon number. That that's a thing. And in at least in like Christianity, like the only example I know of, and according to Google, because I'm not religious, uh, like God rested on the seventh day. So that's again according to Google, seven is depicted as like the holiest number. So it was so the original name of it was 6 versus 7. Supposed to be hell versus heaven. That's the original idea. Demons versus angels, yada yada yada. Core concept, or where if you dumb it down, it's been done a trillion times. Now, one thing that I think could help potentially ease in to it, I guess, that and also I'm just, I'm proud of it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just proud of it. Like I said, I've been working on it since middle school, so I've been working on it when I was doing like English and stuff. So for a assignment where I had to like make like a short story, I made one about a thing that, or like a story that like I came up with in this like world in like Hell to Pay. So I'm going to read the story and then go over some of like the story stuff, like go like over some like basic story I have written down and just descriptions of characters, because I do plan to make this into like a video game. That's like my ultimate plan with this passion project, basically, is to make it into my own game eventually. Which is, if you listen to like the other rant things, which is why I started doing like Blender to try to make like a model or something of it. Haven't touched Blender in a very long time, because by the time I remember, oh, I should actually do that, it's like midnight, and I'm like, I should probably go to bed because, no matter what, I don't think it's not the best to stay up too late, like after midnight, and then if I do, I'll be too tired to like help out doing stuff, or just to, to do stuff in general. You get what I mean? Alright. Pulled up the thing. Time to read. Ah, yes. How do you do, fellow kids? Would you like to read? Oh my god. That. Oh yeah, that can be heard. Huh. Okay. As I was driving home from Mass, I thought, I hope next time he comes with me to be set on the path to redemption. As I entered the house, I paused at the cross on the wall and thanked him for protecting me. But he let hell in. As entering showed nothing new, the same home, but it spoke a different voice. A low, soft, fleshy growl was coming from the bathroom. I thought my wayward soul was sucked in by the siren call of drugs once more. I was terrified. I thought he would not be able to be saved, to be redeemed. But as I found soon after, there is no redemption, no good, no safety, only blood. As I opened the door, this thing staring back at me was not my wayward soul, not a monster, but no less than a demon, with its rotting, broken arms and legs, with its guts dripping from its chest, looking like it would snap off at any moment, and its lower jaw in its hands. The last thing I heard was a snap, the jaw in two. As it drew closer, I was empty, my mind fractured. I had no thoughts, no emotions, no will. But this thing was there, and as it grabbed my head, and from the teeth in its jaw, it made a spike. It stabbed through my neck, and as it was starting to rip off my head, in an act of pity, it allowed me one last thought God is dead. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, uh, right. I did write that in high school. I think it was second year of high school. Uh, Still proud of that, honestly. Maybe I shouldn't. Oh well. I don't care. I am proud of it. So yeah. So I think the best place to start is with someone you've already heard. Thing. That's right. The creature in the story, I named it Thing. That's like its actual name. The idea was that it it's so deformed and like gross looking that it can't that there's no other words to describe it than a thing, if that makes sense. Sort of like a not not like an SCP thing where like you literally cannot like it has like a power or like magic or something to where you can't describe it any certain way. Like I know there's like one thing that like you can't describe it, or like you can only describe something as like not a sphere. I think I saw it in like a video. I don't know too much about SCPs. Uh, Not something like that where like you literally can't, but more so in a you can't think of any better words kind of way. Like you can describe it, like you are able to describe it as something else than a thing, but it's like the best description of it, if that makes sense. So now that I'm done explaining its name, we'll go into a bit more detail about how it's created and what it looks like and what it does and how it operates. So the thing has two different versions of it. I'm mostly going to only talk about the original one because the modified one requires I feel like it requires like a picture to like truly understand it, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to talk about the original because I think that one I can describe properly. The original one can only be made in two ways. The first way is when they're infected with the blood virus. Now, the blood virus is something, and the other viruses, something that we'll go into more detail when we talk about Collector, which is a different character. We're gonna do him next because he's basically like the main character. A good amount of stuff revolves around him. Like if you know Warhammer, how like oh there's like Space Marines, bunch of different versions of Space Marines, a bunch of Space Marines can do different things, and then there's like Chaos Space Marines, which is basically just like evil or more messed up than the other Space Marines already are. More evil and messed up versions of Space Marines. It's kind of like that in a sense where understanding this one thing, as in like Collector, will make it a lot easier to explain other things because a lot of other characters and things can only exist because of Collector, like he themselves make it, or they were a collector, or they exist because of a collector. And I did say because of a, because there can be more than one. There can technically be infinite, but that's getting more into like the lore and stuff, which I'll explain a bit more when we get to actually collector. I went on this whole side tangent because of the blood virus. If I actually explain all this stuff, it's going to be a very long. I'm breaking this into multiple episodes. Yeah, episodes. Multiple videos. Okay. So it can be made with the blood virus. Now, what the blood virus does is that it makes them go insane and become a demon. It makes them become a demon. That's important later on, so keep that as a mental note. It's gonna be a while. Probably no, actually, I'll probably explain when we get to collector. Oh my god. Okay. So what they do is they mutilate themselves, like how in the story, like they had like their broken arms, like they like snapped their bottom jaw in half. They like mutilate themselves. There's another. There's also the second way is they still infected with the blood virus in the second way, but they're immediately transported into Dimension 6, which, hell, it's just hell. But I don't know why I called it Dimension 6. It's basically just hell. Uh, and there's like a machine there that like does it in like an instant, because it takes like a few hours for them like by themselves to do it. That's what I have written down. A lot of this stuff has changed. Like, again, working on this since middle school. Some of these things I might have retconned or changed because I like the other one better. Yada yada. That might change. Basically, almost everything is suspect to change. Whatever. Okay, so a thing doesn't have a stomach, or like stomach intestines, like the entire like stomach area. Basically, almost everything below the chest is just gone. It is just gone. There's just the spine there. It's just the spine with like their like rotting skin like dangling over, stuff like that. Now that's like for a normal one, and in like the story, like it said there was like a Gus hanging ready to snap. Uh, that was because it was a fresh thing. Like they didn't have time for them to actually like snap off or like fall out or anything. That's why that was in the story, because it was a fresh thing, not like one that's been around. Because there's only one way they can die, and that's not dictated by time. Sort of. Uh, but the chest, there's still like skin there, but you can see the rib cage. You can like see it there, sort of uh like a zombie or like a really nu, malnourished person. You can like, or like in like a game or something, you can like see the ribs like poking out. Imagine that, but like it's it's poking out like a bit more, and the skin's like rotting, but still there. Like it's in a constant state of rot, but it can't actually fully rot, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, the like, oh yeah, and like the waist is basically the same as like the chest. You can still see like the bones poking out, and there's still skin there, rotting. But basically kind of the same. Okay. So the next part is gonna be interesting. So look at like an arm or something. Like there's like the skin there, and there's like the flesh underneath that, ignoring a lot of other stuff. Then there's like the bone. So there's the skin, flesh, bone. Those are three main things we're like thinking of: the flesh and the skin. Completely remove that, like all the way up to like where your like arm, like your arm socket, all the way up there, your entire arm. Now that skin that was and like flesh that was there at the arm socket, put that where it where your hand goes from where it goes from your hand to your arm. Have it placed like over that. There's bone, then the rest of like the flesh and stuff. And what I stuttered earlier and misspoke was that specifically over where your hand and arm connect, because the bone of the hand is still with the skin and flesh. So okay, so like the flesh like connects to where that part of the arm is, and like it can still move around. So it basically just doubled the length of their arm. And if they ever need to like grab something really close, they can just kind of like move backwards, I guess. Kind of like retract, but it's not just like normally retracted. That's like a they do it when like they have to. So it's just gonna like naturally be like double their arm length. Now, take that, the exact same thing with the legs, except where like the foot would be, or like where that connects at. It's like popped the other way. So is also the knee. Also, the knee would also be popped because like it like curves like outward, kind of like a prosthetic leg thing for like a runner or something, where like it like curves, like does like a circle curve like thing. Uh, just I just thought about I might like put like a reference photo of what I mean by like the curved leg thing. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that. Um, Something like that. That's kind of like how the leg looks. It's confusing, I know, but like it eventually essentially the leg is fairly confusing, honestly. But it like doubles the length of the leg and like pops the other way. So instead of like when you're bending your leg, it gets closer to you. You would bend it and it would go further away. It would go the opposite direction. I might have over-explained it. Whatever. So, the thing I'm the most excited about is explaining the way that it attacks, basically. So, when I mentioned it's like it ripping its jaw, that is like, so what it does is it rips off their lower jaw, like it's not like attached to their face anymore, snap it in half, and then all of those bones, well, no, not bones, all of the teeth, they get like absorbed into the flesh and skin of like the arm, and that it stores the teeth in its wrist, and they all kind of like meld together into like a shiv in a way, like to a pointy end, and it like pokes out of their wrist to like stab them. You know, like the assassin's blade from the hidden blade from Assassin's Creed, like that. But imagine instead of a blade, it's sharp teeth, just like a teeth shiv. Yeah. Uh, oh yeah, because they're also rotting, they have like basically no hair and they have completely blacked out eyes. I forgot to mention that. Uh, and onto my personal, well, not really my, well, okay. The teeth shivs are my personal favorite, are my favorite part about it. I don't know why I keep saying personal. Uh, the teeth shivs are my favorite part, but my second favorite part is how it dies, because where it was like where like your jaw is connected at, that part where they like ripped it off from, that there is gonna be fun to it's gonna be fun to cut and work around. Real quick, if there's for all the if there were a lot of like weird cuts that like lines that don't really like mesh well together, it's because I went on a weird rant or something, or like I said something then like interrupted myself with something else. I I think I'm making myself do more work right now. Whatever. Okay. Right, where they're like connected, it bleeds from that part. It always will always like drip blood, like constantly. It'll constantly drip blood. Now, to counteract that, well, okay, the reason it has to counteract that is because the only way it can die is by the flow of blood stopping. Like, if it ever stops dripping blood, it just dies. It just collapses and fully rots away. It just like drop dead, like Death Note or something. just drops dead. Just dies instantly. So to counteract that, they need blood. Now, how do they get blood? They get blood from other people. Now, obviously, they can just kill them, but then how do they get it like in their body? A tongue. It's gonna be really weird out of weird. It's kind of weird. Okay, at like the roof of their mouth, like a tongue will grow, and with that tongue, it can like infinitely grow to any length or anything. So one of the most common things that they'll do is that like even and I said that a little bit and I put that in the story thing, is that the most common thing they'll do is that they'll just grab someone by the head, stab through their neck with like the teeth shiv, rip off their head, then like put like where the fresh wound was, like underneath their mouth, and then like put their tongue like in the head, and then just absorb all of the blood that's in it, toss like the head aside, just kind of like put like the top of their mouth where like the person's like neck was, and then just like put like their tongue in like the body and just like absorb all of the blood. Like not even a single drop will be left. Like when they're done, the body will just like plop over, and there's just like no blood, nothing. There's just their skin, bones, and like organs left, completely dry, just zero blood. Maybe like water wet, but blood wet, no, just completely dry. So that's one of my it's one of the original creations I've made for this thing. I have a lot 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 more uh and a good amount of them I haven't even written down yet because I haven't gotten around to it, or I haven't thought of ways to describe it because I can't draw for anything, uh and I barely do any modeling because I keep forgetting. But I just so I mostly just describe them and like write them down. So like I at least have a thing I can look back at and see like their names and things. I just remembered I was going to do story. Actually, I think that's gonna be till next rant or the next rant video because this is a bit too long already, and getting into collector is so much more complicated than thing is. Thing is like a grunt or something. So going from like Goomba or something to the main character or like Mario or something, it's a lot more describing and things. So, hey, I guess you know what? To anyone that has actually watched this whole thing, one, thank you, and two, please, please let me know if you want to hear more. I I would love to explain more of this because again, passion project. All right, thank you for listening to the rant. If somehow there's more to it, that's just boltgun because I plan to only play boltgun when I'm making like rant videos, not like at the same time, but like all of the gameplay for rant videos will be boltgun. And then I don't know what I'll do when I beat boltgun. I'm not gonna stop rant videos. I dropped something. Shut up, phone. Uh, I don't plan to stop making rant videos when I do beat boltgun. I'll just have to figure that out. I'm probably gonna cut that or like put that earlier. Whatever. Again, please let me know if you want me to explain more of this or just go more into depth about Hell to Pay. Alright.